Guys, I hate Johnny Harris. Also, I love Johnny Harris. It's so weird sometimes the way we relate to people that we watch on YouTube, you know? And you might relate. Does Danny Gonzalez's smile give you that fuzzy feeling? Does Cody from Some More News keep you sane in an increasingly insane world? Do you watch ancient streams just to spend the evening with Abigail Thorne? Did you invest your life savings in Hawk Coin? Well then, friend, you might just be in a parasocial relationship. And then if you did the Hawk Coin thing, broke. Now, parasocial relationships are everywhere, and we might think they're little more than a method of manipulating gullible viewers into buying bad products, or worse, voting for bad politicians. But there's a whole other side to parasocial relationships that no one is talking about. One that's actually healthy for us. Now, of course, there are reasons to be concerned. The parasocial dynamics make the little people on our screens seem really big, which can seriously impact the way we see reality. Whether that leads to defending them against disturbing allegations, joining them in attacking a mutual enemy, or worst of all, taking their financial advice. For creators, parasocial relationships can be an uncomfortable aspect of public-facing careers. You know, over-familiar fans can turn up in DMs and comments and then descend into more antisocial and dangerous behaviors than that. While these sorts of parasocial attachments are the exception rather than the rule, still shines an unflattering light on what exactly is happening when we gaze lovingly at a ContraPoints TikTok compilation. So let's talk about how these parasocial relationships have radically transformed our social lives and ask, should we trust our favorite creators? Some of the most potent examples of parasocial dynamics involve money. It's tempting to categorize creators into the good ones who reluctantly engage in the parasocial because, you know, they want to make enough money to keep making the work that they care about, and the bad ones who just act like they're your friend to grift you out of your money. Now, we're used to hearing or saying things like, this video is brought to you by, and then ending with words like, sign up for our Patreon. And it can be tricky for audiences and creators to navigate the ethics of money when parasocial relationships are seemingly one-sided. That is, the social, emotional, and ultimately financial investment only comes from the audience member. Now, to understand, let's examine the case of Hailey Welch, aka the Hawk Tuah woman.
Well, I fart on it.
Now, if you've never heard this name before, there's no substitute for reading the Wikipedia page titled Hawk Tuah, or better, calling your mother and reading the page to her with no context. The gist is that during a Vox Pop interview for YouTube channel Tim and DTV, a woman on the streets of Nashville, Hailey Welch, answered the question, what's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time? And this is the answer she gave.
You gotta give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing.
This made Welch the viral sensation Hawk Tuah Girl. But unlike, Pizza Rat, this meme refused to crawl back into the sewer from whence it came, so Welch got picked up by a talent agency and ended up with her own podcast, Talk Tuah. Get it? Because you can go on the podcast and talk to her. She makes so much more money than me. That's all. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm saying she makes so much more money than me. The podcast was a smash hit. Within just 4 episodes, it became the 5th most popular podcast on Spotify. Unrelated, we're on Spotify. If you ever want to watch or listen to our videos on there, you can. Marquette University journalism professor Patrick Johnson noted how Welch is simultaneously participating in the so-called conservative podcast boom while steering clear of conservative political talking points. With folksy Southern charm and a shock jock edge, Welch was even described by one critic as the Dolly Parton of Gen Z. Like Parton, she appeals to conservatives without alienating younger or more liberal fans. But unlike Parton, Welch didn't have an obvious artistic talent. At least that's what it seemed like on the surface. But before I explain that, I do want to talk about another type of relationship, which is real-life relationships, and in particular, romantic real-life relationships. And I'm so excited to tell you about this video sponsor, the Paired app. Now, Paired is a relationship app designed to help couples stay in love. It offers daily conversation starters and expert-backed advice to strengthen communication and deepen emotional connection, making the journey of staying in love more enjoyable and meaningful. Now, whether you're in a long-term relationship or just starting something new, communication is so important. In any relationship, there's so much that you and your partner really need to be on the same page about, whether it's fun stuff like what you want to do on dates, to serious conversations like creating shared life goals and managing money and finances. But these days, finding time for daily, open, and honest conversations can feel like a challenge, and knowing what to ask or say isn't always easy. But using the Paired app is a fun and easy way to nurture your relationship with daily questions and quizzes. Now, you're not going to be able to see what your partner thinks until you both share your answers, which can lead to some interesting discoveries about how your views differ and encourage deeper and more meaningful conversations. Now, I've been with the same person for quite a long time, and often we can take for granted what we know about our partners or their preferences or interests. And that's what I found really interesting about using the Paired app, is I was able to see that, there's stuff that I don't know about my partner, or ways that she thinks about the world that are different than what I assumed, and that's really important. It's sort of that reminder to keep asking questions even after you've been with your partner for a very long time. So thanks, Paired app. And in case you forgot, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So why not spice things up this year with a gift that goes beyond flowers and chocolate? Consider giving your partner a subscription to the Paired app. It's a thoughtful way to show how much you care, and it offers a fantastic opportunity for meaningful conversations and deeper connections throughout the entire year. Now, if you want to check out Paired, click the link below and get a 7-day free trial, plus 25% off Paired Premium, so you can maintain and deepen your connection with your partner. But now, let's get back to the show. The digital age has changed the nature of celebrity. In the past, opportunities to interact with the stars were rare and carefully curated. MTV's Cribs felt like voyeurism when it debuted back in 2000, but a lot has changed since then. Celebrities now willingly share their lives on social media, where fans have 24/7 access to their random thoughts. For scholars, Si-Young Chung and Hai-Kang Cho, this has profound implications. They write, these new media environments have narrowed the distance between audience and celebrities and have altered the role of audience from that of mere spectators or admirers to friends of celebrities. And these changes are not limited to the way celebrities communicate with their fans, as even more significant change came in the form of a new kind of celebrity: influencers, or people who enjoy public recognition as a result of a large social media following. And since they exist largely on these platforms, it's easy for us to form parasocial attachments. But there's still something that sets Welch apart. Even in the context of social media influencers, she was an overnight sensation. It was like the small town girl who writes a hit song on her grandpa's old guitar and then plays Carnegie Hall weeks later, except that Welch's hit song is a meme joke about giving a blowjob. Now, this puts her in a vacuum of pure parasociality. Her popularity is based solely on how much people want to be her friend. It's an elaborate in-joke that she isn't just aware of, but actively embraces. And then she launched a crypto meme coin called Hawk, or $Hawk. I don't do crypto. I don't know how to say this stuff. Which crashed by more than 90% a couple of hours after it hit the market. And the fans she invited to make that particular investment, some of whom took it seriously and potentially lost tens of thousands of dollars, well, they're pretty gosh darn upset about the whole thing. Some have even accused Hailey and team of engaging in a pump and dump scam.
You guys generated over $1 million in fees while y'all's fans got rug pulled. There was snipers, but there was also insider trading directly linked to y'all's creator account. What are you guys doing?
We'll note the team behind this particular coin over here has dismissed any claims of unethical practice, saying in an explanatory thread on X, there has been a wild amount of FUD circulating. If I know anything, I know that it's anyone who explains their unethical behavior in a thread on X is definitely one of the good guys. And at the time that we're filming this, Welch has not posted since December 20th, when she offered this very obviously written by legal counsel apology. But we're not really in the business of breaking down financial scams. That's why God created CoffeeZilla. We're more curious, why in the hell did anyone take financial advice from someone who's famous not for their investment prowess, but for reminding all of us to spit on that thing? And more broadly, why do we trust influencers at all? Is it all just a scam? And these one-sided parasocial relationships are the calls to action on products and merch and sponsors and Lunchables created by Mr. Beast, and then drinks created by Logan Paul. And I think the Lunchable actually has a drink from Logan Paul, and then the meat is created by Mr. Beast. The cheese is probably created by someone else. Are these things real, or are they just exploiting a parasocial feeling of friendship to shove food and drink into your mouth that's going to make you feel bad? Today, parasociality is shorthand for the ugly side of fandom and the exploitative side of media. Any interaction that we think is too much and beyond which your connection to a creator is unhealthy or weird. But rather than something purely pathological, parasociality is a pretty universal phenomenon that has lots of positive effects. Parasocial relationships were first observed by thinkers Donald Horton and Richard Wall, who wondered, as TV was taking off in popularity, the extent to which consumers of media felt they knew the celebrities being beamed into their homes. Now, they argued that mass media provides the illusion of face-to-face relationship with the performer. The most remote and illustrious men are met as if they were in the circle of one's peers. The same is true of a character in a story who comes to life in these media in an especially vivid and arresting way. Now, they dubbed this face-to-face relationship parasocial, and their observations would prove pretty prescient. Now, they touch on many aspects of fandom that now sound sort of quaint, like writing fan letters or lining up for a book signing or movie premiere. But now, while that stuff still happens to an extent, it's also things like likes and replies and comments and quote tweets. And they couldn't have predicted how technology would allow creators to respond to their audience in real time, ushering in a new kind of celebrity, what academics Cowart and Daniel call the 1.5-sided parasocial relationship, or the curious case of live streaming. Heads up, we live stream right here Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, and because I'm different than the other guys, I'll do a 1.75-sided parasocial relationship with you. Now, we talked about streaming in a recent video, specifically its phenomena of immediacy and interactivity, which fosters trust between viewers and streamers who talk about politics. But there's plenty beyond our trust in their political views. Streaming fosters connections between creator and audience in unprecedented ways. For example, there's something in media and communication studies called wishful identification, where people desire to become or behave like their favorite character or media figure. As Cowart and Daniel put it, the unique elements of wishful identification in the context of live streaming comes from the fact that streaming allows for greater opportunities to engage as a community member. Streamers and community members can instruct and socialize with newcomers as they learn. If you ever see me wearing an orange beanie and a Henley shirt, you know that I'm wishfully identifying with my main man, Johnny Harris. And I've seen some of this behavior on our streams. When someone will come in the chat a little bit hot and say something, slightly problematic or off base, and then some of our regular community members, hey everyone, in the chat will then try to explain why it's a bit much and then invite that person into the discussion in a healthier and friendly way. I love to see it, and it makes me so proud of our community whenever it happens. Now, scholars have looked into the emotional engagement of stream viewers. In this context, emotional engagement refers to our engagement with something that's particularly educational. If someone has high emotional engagement with something, their involvement matters to them. They are paying attention, and the experience is meaningfully affecting them.
We know it's not easy dealing with all those gray names, but you are actively changing lives for the better. Hassel from chat.
You might find yourself in these situations saying a witty reply out loud before realizing you actually got to type it in chat so someone can see it. This can feel embarrassing for a sec, but it is a normal and very human response to the psychological processes taking place when we engage with digital content. This experience of presence can be exacerbated by the near constant accessibility of creators on social media platforms. Because even when we don't receive a reply, the possibility that we might plays a role in how we perceive our relationship with these figures. These are the phenomena that we're describing when we talk about the parasocial. Not so much a hyper fandom or a pathology, needing to know every detail about somebody's life story, but an experience of reality composed of emotional and psychological engagement with a public figure, as if they were in the room with you. And this is not intrinsically bad. In fact, this emotional engagement seems to have benefits for people with low self-esteem, as well as helping viewers cope with difficult periods in their lives. As a fellow with low self-esteem who's gone through some difficult periods, this is true, especially some of the podcasts I like have really been there for me at times that I've needed them, so thanks to those people. As Cowart and Daniel point out, while parasocial relationships have been historically viewed as pathological and symptomatic of social isolation, the truth is that research shows parasocial relationships share plenty in common with traditional social interactions. That includes a reduced sense of loneliness and increasing a sense of social belonging. In other words, watching content from someone who shares your niche cultural or political interest can make you feel less alienated or isolated. I feel like that with certain people on this website. Working Class Music is a channel I like a lot for those reasons. Let me know if there's a channel or a creator that makes you feel a little less alone and alienated. But if we return to Hawk Tuah and her work...
Oh, are you a top or bottom?
Well, we see a very specific example of parasociality playing out. Because her folksy persona and shoot-from-the-hip delivery make her an ideal candidate for both wishful identification and realness.
Do you like Whoppers? I used to be a Whopper guy.
After her infamous interview, she started an Instagram account that immediately blew up, leading to further opportunities for fan interaction, that is, presence, and further connections to cultural giants like Matt Rife and JoJo Siwa, which facilitated emotional engagement. And in the absence of years of doing comedy or studying filmmaking, it makes sense that her form of choice is podcast, a spontaneous, unscripted, human, parasocial style of content. All of these things combined can make a fan feel like Hailey Welch is in their life, hanging out, just hawking and doing. I love that line. Shout out to Neil from the Leftist Cooks who wrote the script with us. Also, congrats on your new baby. We hope y'all are good. And we can't wait for you to write another one for us. So subscribe to Leftist Cooks if you don't already. This all amounts to powerful psychological experiences for her audience that lead to one important thing: trust. In our consumer-focused economy, the marketing world is more than aware of the power that these parasocial relationships have when it comes to product endorsement. And while that doesn't always work,
this is your ape. Are we debuting it?
It's really cool.
It's been the front end of mass media for decades. Even some celebrities in old media careers like the film and music industries have worked out their own contemporary blends of realness and semi-ironic brand endorsement. Now, earlier we cited a paper by two experts in marketing and psychology, Hee-Chang Cho and Si-Young Chung, titled Fostering Parasocial Relationships with Celebrities on Social Media: Implications for Celebrity Endorsement. Friends, if you've never read academic papers, they have long titles. Now, it's an unambiguous demonstration of the efficacy of parasocial relationships over consumer habits in which they state celebrity endorsement is widely used in marketing because marketers believe that the celebrity's positive traits are transferred to the endorsed brands. So if a parasocial attachment is, in so many words, a measure of the trust that a fan has in the person that they don't know, then we begin to see why so many people invested in Hawk coin. Welch told TMZ that she launched Hawk to tackle a bunch of imposters pretending to be her and selling their own coins. She said, "It's a really good way to get all my fans and community to interact and come together." If people felt like they were part of Welch's community, even being encouraged to protect her from imposters, then that is exactly the kind of situation where trust would be at its highest. Again, this isn't intrinsically bad, but it is something that we need to be aware of in a digital ecosystem increasingly composed of niche creators and small communities. And what makes her case special is the absence of the sort of artistic intention that normally obfuscates pure capitalism. That is, in the Hawk Tuah example, the profit motive is exposed in every part of this story, from the social media memification of her identity through to the podcast and ultimately this coin, which were all attempts to capitalize on the paper-thin veneer of a one-sentence meme. In this way, it's not actually true that Welch doesn't have any marketable skills. Her skill is precisely that she's great at fostering parasociality, being someone that people want to watch and spend time with. This is especially impressive in her ability to remain largely apolitical at a time where all creators seem forced into a right-wing or left-wing box. Except me, who remains completely apolitical. I'll never offend anyone. You'll never get mad at me. I have no views on politics. I don't even know how to vote. And in our increasingly parasocial world, this skill might be more useful or at least more lucrative than more traditional creative talents. I mean, honestly, how many musicians or comedians do you know who can easily convince their fan base to burn money on crypto? I bet Drake fans would. That's real. I bet he's already done it. Drake fans have definitely done something like that. Shame on you all. Which means that creators have the challenge of making authentic content while trying to respect their communities. And as audiences, we have the challenge of inevitably developing parasocial relationships while also remaining skeptical of the underlying economics at play. Now, we're not even necessarily saying that you should feel any less attached to these celebrities than you already do. Rather, we might propose that this new kind of friendship may involve new kinds of rules and best practices. If Hailey Welch is an example of anything, it's not so much that creators are just grifters with Blue Yeti microphones. Rather, it's that celebrities are becoming increasingly like the rest of us, both in our perception of them and in how they're just random people stumbling through life. And if that's the case, we should be prepared for when they, like us, are self-interested or just plain wrong about very important things, whether they're elections or semi-fake cryptocurrencies. Okay, that's all for this one. Let us know what you think. A huge shout out to Neil from Leftist Cooks for writing this video. Subscribe to their channel if you don't already. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons who have signed up for our Patreon. I know in this video we said some stuff, but still, it's a huge and important way to support our channel. You get videos early with no ads, some extra perks. There's a link in the description. If you don't want to do that, please subscribe if you haven't. Set reminders, ring the bell, leave a comment. We really appreciate it. In the meantime, Hawk Tuah on that thing or don't Hawk Tuah on that thing. Either way, you'll regret it, and I'll see you next time.